everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for July 30th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 26 live feeds. It was day 14 in the house. We had a veto ceremony, and Angela is back. She's doing some more things and maybe exposing some powers. So we're here to talk through it all. And with me to talk through it all is AJ. How you doing, AJ?
I'm doing great, Taran. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to talk about what these people were up to today, all of the Shakespearean plays, the rolling on the grass. Those are the interesting things that are happening.
AJ serving with the hat, loving it. All right, let's talk through yesterday because again, we had a veto ceremony. As you all know, if we pull up the graphic here, Chelsea, the HOH, nominated Angela, Kenny, and Lisa. Kenny then won the veto, and Tucker volunteered to be the replacement nominee. There was some drama that happened where Angela was told that Quinn told Tkor that she mentioned that there was a group of people that were working together. Feeds were cut for a lot of the discussions here, but it ended with Angela confronting Quinn and being very upset with him, but still not revealing his power, though it did briefly turn Angela into the house target. The target shifted back to Lisa primarily because they think she has a power. And also, Tucker really hates her. And also, she said Tkor's name. So that's where things stood at the beginning of day 14. However, Tucker had a last-minute change of heart. Not necessarily change of heart, but change of like idea, where basically Tucker really Tucker found out he has like basically the whole house, most of the house has now found out at this point that MJ has one of the powers. Tucker very much knows this. And he came to the realization, hey, Chelsea, wait, hold on. Why don't you just put Chelsea or put MJ on the block and flush the power? That's a great. How did nobody think of this?
How did no one think of this? It's not like Chelsea hasn't been up in her HOH room for days contemplating what to do with this power and basically utter fear about how to properly take her out or not be the victim of it. Like, honestly, no one's playing this game except for Tucker, and Tucker needs to let people know what to do.
Pretty much. So he pitches this to Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, is a little concerned. The thing is, if I put up MJ and very much she's just fully like telling Tucker like what exactly the power is. Like basically, if I put up MJ, she's gonna take herself right off the block, and then who knows what happens from there. And then she's also like coming for me next week because I just forced her to flush the power. And he's like, yeah, but I mean, is she gonna win?
Like, I don't like how Tucker, like, I like the idea of like, okay, we need to flush this power, do it now. And like, for Chelsea, this might be the best time to do it because she don't have any control over who the renom is. So might as well do it while Chelsea is safe. Like, I get that. But like, Tucker is actively not listening to her. He's not listening to her concerns because like her concerns are real. Like, if Lisa and MJ and Leah are all in the house and I betray MJ, who's been basically this entire week just butting up to me up in my HOH room, like, that's going to be bad on me. But Tucker just is not hearing it, and it's just being like, yeah, but you should do it anyway.
Well, the thing about Tucker, I think that's working for him so far is that he's so earnest in everything he does. He never comes off as manipulative. He just comes off as just like, well, that's Tucker with his ideas. Tucker. And to his defense here as well, he's not super pushy about the idea. He's like, listen, this is just an idea. I'm still happy to go on the block if you need me to. I just figured I'd pitch this idea to you because I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree because I like how he wasn't like going like hard for it. Like he was pushing it out there. Chelsea pushed back and he was like, okay, comma, but no. And but wasn't like forcing himself on it. But what Tucker has been doing, and you saw multiple people in the morning times particularly be like, oh, Tucker's getting paranoid. Tucker's starting to get worried. And like I wouldn't want to be someone that's branded as a paranoid player.
Yes, there was some talk of Tucker feeling a little weird. He actually he had a conversation with Rubina because they had like an awkward interaction. He was like, "Are we still good?" And she's like, "Yes, of course. I was just having my own moment last night. Everyone
Mhm.
has these moments." Um, and so there's a little bit of stuff going on there. Chelsea does consider this idea though.
Yes.
She talks to the cameras again. She's like, I do have that option. And she talks it over with Brooklyn, who very quickly is just like, no, don't do that. That doesn't make sense. Just put up Tucker.
Mhm.
She's like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
And, like honestly, like this is the like I have my issues with Chelsea's HOH train. I don't think it was like disastrous. I think it's more like lost opportunities have been had with Chelsea's HOH train. But like making more enemies that you don't need to make right now is like the correct move for Chelsea. And if Tucker's volunteering, I understand people want to see like interesting play of how Chelsea will deal with it, but Chelsea take that out because Chelsea
Mhm.
got nothing to worry about.
Yeah. So we get to the veto ceremony, and Kenny uses the veto on
Mhm,
himself, and he is replaced by Tucker. And those are our final nominations for the
mhm,
week. That we have Tucker, Lisa, and Angela.
mhm.
They will be competing in the AI Arena competition.
I think it's I think Chelsea's doing the right. I think Chelsea's playing safe. I think Chelsea's doing a good thing. I really wish Chelsea, like, especially because Leah's been so close with her this week, and so is MJ. I wish Chelsea really like locked them in, like with her this week. Especially now that her powers gone as HOH. Like she should have like really like tried to like build something stronger, solid with these people that she does not feel as close with in the house. And I know she feels comfortable with like the Pentagon, but she really does need to take a page out of Quinn's book and be like, the Pentagon cannot be my sole thing. Like it cannot be my only thing. Like I think Brooklyn is a good ally for her, but like she don't even trust them completely. Like she's side eyeing Cam left, right, and center. So if you don't like completely have full trust in your allies, you should take this moment to like build something else, or at least build a side thing. Because I noticed Chelsea was talking about this, so is Quinn, and other people. Like we need to build something big and something concrete. Like do this now. You're the HOH. You have the power. Like this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of building things, but nobody's doing it really. There's a little bit of movement. There's a little bit of movement here and there. But it's almost like for whatever reason this week, even though like week 2 normally would be the time when
Mhm,
something like solidifies, especially if week 1 was chaotic, a lot of people I think are now waiting until next week to feel like they like fully lock something in. And that's not great for Chelsea because this week would have been great for her
mhm,
to lock something big in. Um, so we do hear from Quinn. He talks to the cameras a little bit. He says that he does kind of prefer that Lisa stay
mhm,
and Angela leave, but he's not willing to like draw a line in the sand about it. And plus, Lisa said Tkor's name, which is like no go, like that's no good. So he's not comfortable keeping Lisa if she's going to be looking at Tkor. He says he still doesn't feel comfortable with the Pentagon,
mhm.
and he's frustrated with the Leah situation. He's he's just like, "I tried to make a final 2 with her. I kind of
Mhm,
figured we'd be talking more game, but, like, we don't really talk now." And I hope it wasn't my fault. I would feel bad if I made it weird by flirting. She's clearly in a thing with Cam now.
mhm,
And if she is in a thing with Cam, like, obviously, you're gonna prioritize your showmance over any final 2s that you made.
mhm,
And so listen, I'm not gonna tell her to not flirt with people because that's not me. So I don't know. I don't want to get caught up in showmance drama. like,
mhm,
I'm not sure where to go from here. But he says he does want to work with Rubina. And there has been a lot of talk of locking something in with Rubina,
mhm.
Rubina, Chemo, and Tkor. And he mentions that he thinks that Brooklyn is the best player in the house, followed by Cam.
Um, I got several things. Like first things first, I think Quinn is right. He should want Angela out this week, and I don't think drawing a line in the sand is what he was doing if he would like to push his and Angela going out because people don't rock with Angela. Angela's not someone people have long term. People want Angela out sooner. So if Angela goes this week over Lisa, like what Tucker would be upset, but like that's Tucker. What power does he actually have? So it's like you don't have to be like, oh, if we don't do this, you're against me. But you can just like keep pushing back if people want Lisa. You'd be like, yeah, but like Angela's like a really unstabilizing force in the house. Like Lisa is annoying, but like Angela's blown up at people. Angela has shown us the capacity what she would do. If Angela gets into power next week, and the comps have been more equitable so far this season, like we're in trouble. Like we will be endangered. Like, do you want to live through that again? So I think Quinn has like the tools to push for an Angela, but like I find Quinn not to be like a lot of a pusher. I think Quinn is the person that's like, I want to find myself in the situation and make the best out of it instead of making his own situation. Like, go.
I agree. I think there's more he could be doing here, and I think that it's primarily pitching Lisa as an asset to his allies. Now the problem is that Lisa got caught saying Tkor's name, but I think that he can say like, "Well, Tkor, we know that there's a chance Lisa
Mhm,
might win the AI comp anyway. Why don't
mhm,
you just talk to her about it? You know you have a good relationship with her. Maybe you can clear it up in the event that she stays. And then if they're able to have a good conversation, then
mhm,
you can be like, do we even really want Lisa to leave? I mean, she's kind of on our side, whereas Angela's not.
mhm,
And then from there, you can kind of like gather some momentum in that direction. Now, the thing is, though, you do still have the possibility that
mhm.
Lisa could win that AI comp, and
Yeah.
Angela just goes anyway, and you didn't even have to lift a finger. But ideally, I do think this is an important enough eviction for Quinn, where like Lisa feels pretty good about Quinn, and Angela
Mhm.
hates him now. So that's a pretty significant difference. And in a season with equitable competitions, it really
Mhm.
matters.
No, no, truly. I think Quinn is doing a great job in his position. I just wish he was doing a little bit more, especially because he was another person that was talking about waiting till next week to build something. Quinn, you have the most social capital right now. Build you something. Build you a fortress and a structure. You don't feel good about Cedric? Don't include Cedric. You don't like. I also don't like that he's out on the Pentagon. I feel like the Pentagon is good, and I think if you ask the other members of the Pentagon, they wouldn't say that Quinn is at the bottom. Like they have issues within each other, and I think that's a good spot for Quinn to be in with the Pentagon, as well as a side thing.
Yeah, I agree. I also agree with that. I think that Quinn's initial read that him and Brooklyn were at the bottom was correct at the time. But
Mhm.
if he bothered to check in more often, he'd recognize now that like the Pentagon structure is all out of whack now.
Mhm.
Like he has a final two with Cedric now. Uh, uh, Chelsea does not trust Cam.
Mhm.
Brooklyn is in with Chelsea. Like
Mhm.
it's all kinds of mess right now, which is great for him. And I think it's a perfectly, it's in fact a very strong position for him if he was spending more time working it. I
Mhm.
love what he's doing with Chemo and Tkor. I think
Yes.
that he can absolutely continue doing that, but I
Mhm.
think that he is dropping the ball when it comes to his relationships within the Pentagon, because I think that is a key element of his current position in the game,
Mhm.
and it's not nearly as bad as I think he thinks it is.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I also will say personally, like pause. I love chemo. I love Tkor. I love what they're doing. I personally think Tkor has the highest ceiling of everyone in the house of being probably the best player, but that's just me. Um, However, what I've saw, I feel like Chemo and Tkor at this point in time are more background players, and they could turn it up. But someone like a Cedric, someone like a Chelsea, they are people that are willing to go out in front. They are people that are willing to do stuff. Meanwhile, in that other group, I think Quinn is the person that's most open to do stuff, and that will put him in the forefront. Meanwhile, I think he's a better off player when he's not in the forefront.
Yes, I agree. I think that, like, the way I see it,
Mhm,
if I were trying to, like, position Quinn, it's I think, get into the best position within the Pentagon
mhm.
while still building this thing with Keymore
I like it.
I mean,
I
hey,
like it. I like it, baby.
uh, with Tkor and Chemo. And I do think you probably want some combination of the 2 in the end game.
Mhm,
But like, you know, I the thing about Quinn is that he doesn't really have his one person. He tried to make that Leah, and it didn't really work. He
Mhm,
kind of has Chemo. Like, Chemo's still keeping his secret to Tkor. Chemo's still, like, deep in with Quinn. But I think if Chemo, I mean, actually, it might depend. Chemo, I think, would do what's best for his game, and I think that people don't recognize that. I think that's part of the strength of his game is that people
mhm.
think he's just there for vibes, but he's actually a big fan.
Yes.
Um, but, like, Chemo and Tkor are closer than him and Tkor.
Mhm,
So Chemo kind of has the power in that group, even though he's the more active player. But
mhm,
then if you go to like the Pentagon, like Brooklyn and Chelsea kind of have a bit more power in that group. And so he doesn't really have like his own really like he does have power bases, but he doesn't have like the solid like number two. And maybe that can be Cedric if he can work on that, if he can, keep developing that.
I think
So
Cedric is
yeah.
the perfect number 2 for him, I think, of this house.
I
And
think so too, but he just needs to, like, work on it and trust it, I think. Um, okay, because Cedric is talking with Cam a lot, and I think Cam looks
Mhm,
at Cedric as a number 2 as well, and I think that Cedric is open to working with Quinn instead,
mhm,
but if Quinn leaves that hanging, then he'll just leave Cedric to Cam, and I think
mhm.
that's not great for
No.
him. Um, okay, so, there is, in fact, more Showmance drama.
Sa
Uh,
sadly.
um and on it's going on throughout the day. It's Leah and Cam. They're doing their thing.
Mhm,
They're flirting more, but then also having conversations about like, should we keep flirting more? Should we stop doing this?
mhm.
They eventually kind of decide maybe we should stop openly flirting so much, so on and so forth. That like but also Leah throughout the day is like talking about how much she actually doesn't like Cam like that. And he's talking to her about like dreams he's having of her at night, and that's kind of icky. And she really wants to be with Tucker, and so she tries to talk to Tucker, and Tucker's like, "Well, me and Rubina, my type is the opposite of you, actually." And then
Mhm.
Tucker's like, "Ugh, Leah talking to me." And so it's
No,
so
like,
much.
no, truly, you look at Leah and Tucker talk, Tucker does not like this girl in any way, shape, or
There's zero. There's negative chemistry.
form.
I don't understand.
Like I don't understand what it is about him, like, especially, like, in the bathroom, like, they will be talking, well, Tucker will be talking, and then Leah will try to, interject, and Tucker will, like, cut her off and be like, back to me." Like, Tucker does not care about, Leah, any way, shape, or form romantically at all, so it's interesting, and I would
It's
say no, go.
Go ahead.
I was about to switch topics.
Oh, it's just so strange to me. Like, maybe I'm just too old at this point, but like the idea that you would have a crush on somebody that you have zero chemistry with is so like like before you understand what like relationships are. You know what I mean? Like, how do you have a crush on somebody that doesn't even like you? That's like that you have zero, like you have nothing, like there's nothing there.
Nothing, nothing at all. And it would be one thing if like Leah was reading the situation wrong. Tucker's like, oh yeah, I like someone with curly hair. I like someone that was like tall. Like, is she was like actively explaining someone that I am not. Like, I don't know how much more clear that Tucker can get. Like, he's not into you. But that's but it's wild. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But like I would say, first off, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a showmance. I think low key, if you're getting a showmance, that's a good thing, especially for if your showmance partner is a bigger threat, because you'll be like, look at Chelsea earlier. She was like, I don't want to put up MJ because then MJ and Lisa, if they both stay, are going to be upset with me. So being in a showmance, people are going to be scared of the repercussion for like targeting the showmance. So that's one thing. But when it comes to like Chelsea and not Chelsea, Leah and Cam, like, I can see the energy there, like, the vibes are there, we get it, you can see it, let other people see it. But I also get it low key because you look at Leah, Cam is always behind, less than 2 minutes. Like he's always there. And I can understand why that's like, like yeah, I like you, but like that's like give me my space. I understand we're in the house, but like you can go talk to other people. Like you don't always have to be near me.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's just it's so much drama. It's just so much drama.
And for what? Pause. And for what? And for what? Truly.
I'm telling you, it's they're still trying to play Love Island.
Like this is actively hurting both of their games. Like they needed to stop it. Just cut it out. Like decide what y'all doing and then move on with your lives. It's just a summer. It's just a few weeks. Do it. Go on.
Yeah. So luckily,
Mhm.
there's some more stuff happening here today.
Nice.
In particular, Angela has been thinking, and she first of all, I guess I should first set up that Angela is 100% convinced
Mhm.
that she's being voted out. Every time she talks to anybody, she's like, "Hey, I know. I know it's me." And they're like, "I mean, not according to me. I'm voting to keep you. Don't lie to me. I know. I know. You don't have to lie to me." And like like she's so convinced that people aren't even trying that hard to convince her. They're just saying, "Well, I don't know about that, Angela. All I know is that I'm voting to keep you."
Mhm.
Um, and she's like, "Well, thank you. That would mean a lot to me, but I know it's me." And so she is very convinced she's going home and has decided that she wants to expose Quinn's power.
Wait, before we
Uh,
get to that part,
okay.
I want to say a thing real quick. First off, it's so insane. Like Tucker's like the target's Lisa. You're staying, and she's just like, no, you're Tucker's a liar. He's lying to me. Why would he lie to me? He's not that clever. Like Angela lives in a state of delusion. Like I love that she does. And but like it makes absolutely no sense, especially after the week one that she had. Like what Angela should have been doing is like, okay, I had a bad one. Let me rebound. Let me recoup. Let me recover. Let me try to rebuild these relationships. That's not what she's doing. She's isolating herself. She's like, people are in a group. She's going to be sitting at the edge, just staring, like, just not like trying to get involved with the people. Like, she's not trying to rebuild her game. She's not trying to put herself in a better position. And in fact, like, it feels to me like even if Angela like even just tried a little to be like cordial and like try to rebuild her game, she would be in a better spot right now than she currently is. Like she will still be like arguably like in danger of going home this week, but like I feel like she will have like more of a chance at longevity in the game. But instead, she's accepted her fate that was never her fate, which makes no sense to me. Like you're still in the house. Why are you giving up? Why are you not like fighting to stay and trying to rebuild something? Like Josh had a terrible week one. Josh went to win. Dan had a bad week one. Dan went on to win, being one of the best players. Just because you have a rough start does not mean your game is done.
And well, I mean, that's the thing too. She didn't even have a rough start until she was convinced she did. Like this is the like she actually had a pretty good start, but she didn't believe that she had a good start. She believed that she had an awful start and made that true. And that has been the story of her game consistently. She
Mhm.
has just actively put herself in a worse and worse position because she doesn't believe that she could possibly have been in a good position. Like at every given opportunity, she just always believes the worst and then acts accordingly and puts herself in that bad situation. Like,
Mhm.
would she have even been on the block this week if she hadn't said to Chelsea, like, well, you're probably going to put me up? Not necessarily.
Wait, it's not even like, oh, you probably will put me up. She was like, you will probably put me up, and that's okay. There's no issue.
Right.
I understand. Like, just giving her the go ahead. Like, what? Like, Chelsea was cool with Angela. Angela ain't wrong. Chelsea. Chelsea was fine.
So at first, she's just trying to be like, I mean, first she goes to Kenny, which is like a wild person to go to, especially given their history.
Yeah.
And she's like, Kenny, I've got a thing I want to tell you, whether it's on my way out the door or next week. I want to tell you something. We can figure out how to do something with it. And I was like, this is fine. Like this could work. I don't think Kenny's the guy.
No.
But like I like this plan of like wait until next week, maybe then say something and maybe get something rolling, make some connections by revealing a secret to one person to build some trust. This could work. She also proposes like, "Hey, should we try and work together?" And Kenny's like, "No thanks." Because she went to the one guy in the game that's actively trying to leave the game and be on the block every week. Like maybe try somebody else.
No, like Kenny has won the veto this week, took himself off the block. It was like, you know what? Next week I'll volunteer again. You know what? Who knows? Like Kenny does not want to be here, and Kenny does not rock with you, Angela. Like the week y'all had, that's not a good person to go to. You should go to someone like you feel. Well, possibly she don't feel comfortable with anyone for like her own reasons, but like you should try to find someone at least you ain't have like conflict with or something. Not someone who like wants to leave the game, and also y'all got into a heated argument.
There's just so many other options of people to work with.
Like Joseph is right there. He's begging and pleading for anyone to do anything with him.
So that doesn't work. And then she just kind of like gives up on that whole plan and instead just starts telling half the house, I know who really has the power. And here's what it is. It's an HO. You can take over the HOH. You can take over their nominations. They're like, whoa, when can you do this? I'm not sure. All I know is that you can take over the nominations. And if you're paying attention, this means that I know who has the power. But she's not saying who has the power. She's just saying what it is. Now, I immediately, before she even did this entirely, I was just like, she's flirting around with this idea of potentially revealing it to the entire house. I tweeted this out that like the irony of this situation is that one of the primary reasons that Lisa is being targeted this week, that way they want Lisa to leave, is that they are convinced that she has the power. Angela exposing Quinn before the vote means that anybody with a brain in the house who is capable of recognizing that Quinn and Lisa were in the same group and therefore cannot both have powers. And in addition to that, most of them know that MJ already has one of them for sure anyway. They will be able to see that if Quinn actually has the power, that means Lisa really doesn't have the power. And therefore, there's considerably less reason to evict Lisa this week over Angela. Like, Angela is actively campaigning to send herself out the door.
Like here's the well, first things first. I know you've been preaching this since the game started. It's so easy. It's easy to figure out who did it, know who played in what competitions, so you can narrow it down and you can understand. Lisa can't even have it. She didn't participate in that competition. But like, ignore that. We're in our own little world, our own little fantasy world right now. Angela actively believes that she is going home at this point in time. So what good does for Angela to just sit on this if she thinks she's the house target and it's all Quinn's fault? That dirty Quinn. So I can understand her being like, if my sink is going to ship, I'm also going to sink Quinn's ship too. But like, that's not how you go about it. Like you have no social capital right now in this house. Like you're saying that to people that like already don't take you seriously. Like what do you expect to gain from that? What do you expect to happen? Like people just be like, you know what, Angela, I haven't been rocking with you this entire time. I haven't trusted the word, but you know what? You just spit facts here. You did the thing. You know what? Good job. You got this one up on me. Hallelujah.
And I agree with you too. Like there's a world where it's like, okay, well, she's already convinced she's going home. Sure. She probably doesn't recognize, she's not in the loop. She doesn't realize that Lisa having the power is one of the reasons why people want to send her out. She doesn't recognize that this is hurting her own game. Okay. All of those things, they make some amount of sense. And you can be like, okay, this is a mistake that she's making, but it's just because she doesn't realize what's happening. Right. Then she talks to Tucker. And she fully exposes it to Tucker. She says, listen, Tucker,
Mhm.
Quinn has committed deformation of
Mhm.
my character. I think that's the word, deformation of my character. And I want to tell you, he has the power.
Mhm.
And I know that you knew this already because I remember our conversation last week and you were asking about it and you were looking at my face to see if I was going to tell you that Quinn had it and I didn't. And Tucker's like, let me stop you there. I don't think Quinn has it. He says, I know who has it. It's not Quinn. She's like, no, I know who has it. People know I know who has it.
Mhm.
I know what it is. He's like, I really don't think Quinn has it. I really don't think that's what's happening.
Like, this is so wild. Like, first off, like Tucker being like, I know who has it because I was able to read it off with them. And it's like, this mother effer told me. This mother effer told me his power, what it is, and how it works. What do you mean? You're assuming that someone because of a social read, someone that you already don't like, and you guess it's like a second or third vote. Like, it'll be one thing if Angela's like, yeah, it's a second or third vote, and Quinn has it. But this, she's explaining a power that only Big Brother could come up with. Like, only a power that's so bull that they will actually put in the game. Meanwhile, Tucker, you're being like, you know what?
Yeah, Tucker's like, it would make a lot of sense for it to be a triple vote because 2 votes were taken away. That would make a lot of sense. What he doesn't realize is that Big Brother never makes sense.
Never, not at all. So it's like so insane that, and he was like, I asked Quinn and he told me no. He wouldn't lie to me.
I know body language and I'm reading the body language right. And Quinn does not have it. I know who has it. And she's like, listen, I don't want to go home. I don't want to expose it. I know this is so. Let me tell you, Angela is reading this as Tucker is lying to her. That Tucker knows that Quinn has it, but is in an alliance with Quinn and therefore does not want to openly admit that Quinn has it. So she is saying, I don't want to expose this. I know it's good for you, probably. I just don't want to go home, Tucker. I don't want to have to do any of this. Just, I don't want to go home. And he's like, you don't need to do any of this. You're not going home. And she's like, Tucker, sweetie, I know I'm going home. Don't lie to me.
But like, here's the wild thing, and I actually want to get back to a point you said. If we're looking at Angela's head and mind this, why are you telling Tucker? Like, are you trying to like show a little distrust between Tucker and Quinn or whatever? If because Quinn told you before Tucker or whatever, like if that's your plan, tell someone you think isn't as close with Quinn. Tell someone that you think, oh, this is gonna be a bombshell revelation, and these people know about it and they didn't tell you about it. You need to be on alert, not be like your ally. I know, and I know this is good for you, but I know about it. Now keep me. It's supposed what?
Yeah. And he's just, I'm not lying to you. I hate Lisa. I want her gone. You're not going home. And she says, you know, I would love and to hope so and pray for that. But I know it's me. It's like, Angela, we think Lisa has the power. She's not a chef. She uses way too much garlic salt. She's a yoga instructor. We think that she has a double or triple vote, and we're trying to get her out so that she can't use it because we want her out because she has the power. And now Angela has been fully informed of all of the ramifications of what she's doing. She understands that what is being told to her is that Lisa is being voted out because people think she has the power. And her response, well, I think Quinn has it. And Tucker's response, well, I don't.
like God bless this. This is why I enjoy people. Cast more people on Big Brother like this. Like just people that are so indignant and be like, my world is the only correct world. Like we need more people like this. That's why I hate that we have the 3 people on the block that we do. Because those are the 3 people that lives in their own world.
It's like how do you get two people having a conversation that are both 100% confident in what they're saying and yet also both 100% wrong? Like, I guess not 100% each of them, because like they're both telling the truth on one part of it,
Yeah.
but then they're both completely wrong on the other part of it, and they're
Mhm.
both just completely sure that they're right about everything.
It, it's interesting. It's wow. And honestly, like if I was Tucker, and maybe he slept on this, maybe in the morning we'll see something different. But like Tucker is currently living in a world of assumptions, reads. Like I'm not going to judge your reads, even though they've been off mostly this season. But that's the world he lives in. And Andrew's living in a world of this is what I've been told. This is the information. So you do what it as you may, but like just ponder. I might be telling the truth. Ponder, you could be wrong on this one. He was like, you know what? Pause. No, he said, what did he say? He said something like, oh, and if I'm wrong, then I'll go out this house humbly with my head held high, being like, I got played. No, you don't. You fight back.
And this is the thing too. I do want to like say this, that I don't think that Lisa having the power is the only reason that they're voting to evict her. But it is a big reason. One of the main reasons she is a target. And I do genuinely think that there's a good chance that if Lisa does manage to convince everyone that Quinn has the power, that Lisa being like exonerated, like Lisa, like I was telling you guys the truth the whole time, like might actually be enough to save her.
Here's my issue with Lisa, and I think Lisa is a fun character. Like Lisa's biggest problem is that Matt vote. Like honestly, just be honest about the math. Like people know you did the Matt vote,
What's
and
funny
because
is
you're
they might believe her about the Matt vote if they end up finding out that she never had a power.
you know what? You're right. You might be right, but like that's the thing. Like by being like, no, I actually am a chef. But I did vote for Matt. You were right about that. Like that part was the lie. I got caught. What was me? But this part's
AJ,
the
I think
truth.
it's the opposite. I think she needs to say, you know what? You're right. The one thing I'm lying about is that I'm not a chef, but I did not vote for Matt and I do not have a power. They'd believe her on the other two.
Yeah.
They're never going to believe she's a chef. It's never going to happen.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, honestly, I could never like go and be like Taryn. That's like you going to the house to be like, I'm a podcaster, and they're like, he don't talk good enough to be a podcaster. Like that was a lie.
Oh boy. Well, this gets even funnier because Quinn and a few other people end up coming out into the backyard.
Mhm.
And Angela keeps talking to Tucker, and she's like kind of loudly in front of Quinn being like, "Well, Tucker, I really don't want to have to expose anyone. If I leave, I would have to, but I really don't want to leave and have to expose anyone." And it's becoming pretty clear that she is talking about the power, and now she's like mentioning Quinn and saying that Quinn is like making these personal attacks on her. And Quinn is frustrated. Quinn starts venting, like, I can't believe, like, what is she doing? He's venting to Joseph and Lisa about like, I can't, like, why is she doing this? I didn't do anything to her. And Lisa of all people is like, it's all right, Quinn. Nobody believes her. We've got your back.
Like it's truly a race to the bottom between Lisa and Angela. Like being like, who can get evicted first? I know you're winning right now, Lisa, but Angela's like, I'm going to take a run for your money. Like, listen, I don't want to be here. Because like, because Lisa knows. Lisa is actively aware that they're like, we're pinning the fact that you have the power on you. And Lisa's like actively denying, I do not have the power. I do not have the power. This would actually make sense for Lisa to be like, wait a dang minute. Am I getting blamed for what Quinn has? Like, let me clear my name. But
yeah. She also then goes to like question Joseph about like what was your involvement in Angela's HOH week? And it's like you couldn't just take a moment to like be chill. I don't know.
Have you seen Lisa? Lisa has no chill. The moment she was put on the block week 1, chill has been left the house. She's never came back.
This happens occasionally on Big Brother that like the 2 nominees, granted there are 3, but like
Mhm,
the 2 nominees are like actively competing to get themselves voted out unintentionally. Like every time
mhm.
they go and do something, they like put themselves higher and higher on the list of who to be voted out. But then the other person does something, put themselves even higher. And that's kind of what's happening here with Lisa and
Like
Angela.
like, the best thing Angela did was isolate herself from the rest of the house and say nothing. That was the best thing she was doing, and as soon as she decided to play again,
Listen, I'm not complaining.
pause, I love good TV, I love good feeds, like, Angela, do it more. I don't wanna see you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's some more talk, some strategy talk going on as well. Rubina talks to Tkor.
Mhm,
She does. I thought this was funny. Rubina kind of laments that like she's like, man, I kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and I kind of wish that I had like done more research about the game before I came in. I feel like that would have been helpful. But she talks about this like girls thing that seems to be happening,
mhm,
and she reassures Tkor that like she would definitely pick Tkor over those other girls, or especially like MJ and Leah. Like
mhm,
that, they had a conversation the night before about how she felt left out of their thing and like she doesn't really
mhm.
vibe with them. And so she's reassuring Tkor like she's with Tkor over MJ and Leah for sure. Um, so
I would like to have T-Core's power, because T-Core has some sort of power where she would just walk in a room, sit down, and people be like, "T-Core, my buddy, my ally. Yes, sit, stay, let me just spill my game in front of you. How do you feel?" "Oh, you ain't say much, but that's okay, that's T-Core."
mhm, mhm,
I
mm.
adore I adore T-Core. Especially
Um,
what was it? It was like, because Kenny was like, "Oh, yeah, there's a girls' alliance, and
yes.
Brooklyn's the head of it." And T-Core's like, "Well, it ain't me, so do yours one."
Yes, so that's one of the like like Kenny's contributions to strategy is that he just ran like similar to Angela actually. Just randomly points out groups of people and says they're working together. So for a while it was Quinn, Chemo, and Joseph, but now he's on this kick of like, the women. Those women, they're working
Mhm,
together. So Tigor warns Rubina that Kenny is suspicious of the girls working together.
mhm.
And Rubina's like, well, honestly, I was a little concerned about a boys' alliance. And Tigor's like, well, I'll tell you, if there is, I can say for sure that Chemo, Quinn, and Joseph do not take it seriously because they know it's not a good thing for them if
Mhm,
they want to win the game. And that is very true. It's a good read from T. Normally, I'd be like, be careful about that. But like, it's actually a very good read from T-Core. It is something that they talk about pretty consistently that they do not want a bro thing happening.
mhm,
So it's not really a thing that they need to be concerned about. So of course, Tigor continues to suggest like we should be making our own thing.
mhm,
And Tigor, Chemo, and Quinn have discussed pulling Rubina in. And she asks Rubina, like, who do you trust? Rubina says, well, you, Chemo, Brooklyn, and maybe Quinn. And Tigor is basically like, same.
mhm,
Like I like that group of people. Quinn and Chemo end up joining their conversation, and they do talk about like locking something in.
mhm,
How maybe they could grab Tucker because it still feels like he's somebody that can be grabbed at this point.
mhm,
And they even talk about Kenny. Kenny feels like he's kind of floating out there. Chemo feels like he has a good relationship with Kenny, and that maybe he can be talking to Kenny. And so that could work too. And again, there's talk of them pulling this together,
mhm,
and locking it in. They're not quite fully locking it in yet, but it needs to happen at some point. Now, one thing I do really like about this conversation for
mhm,
them is that they all were encouraging each other to actively go out and win the next HOH because
mhm,
that would really help them pull the people in and lock everything in. And so it does feel like they all will likely be competing. And if
mhm,
if any of them do win, they will lock in fully the power structure that this house has been lacking, basically.
No, truly, I agree, but I also disagree. Y'all were there right now. Do it. You should have did it. You should have did it then. Like
Right.
y'all y'all were there, y'all ready to do it, everyone was on board. Like Quinn, that's what you want. You want to be involved in the formation. Look, it was forming right then and there. Like, don't chance it for next week for Cam to win it. And now we're like, well, or MJ to win it. Like, or who's like willing to put like what both Quinn and Kima up next week, I think.
So we'll get to that, but she's
we'll
looking to target Joseph.
Oh, fair. Oh yeah, fair enough. You're right. You're right.
But still not great. I mean, what she's saying is not great.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, I agree. I think that this was a great opportunity to like actively lock this in. Now, that being said, you do still have to worry about like what is Rubina's connection to Brooklyn and how is that going to work? And like, do you want to lock something in if she's maybe then going to run it to Brooklyn? So maybe there's a little bit of skepticism there. But I agree. I think that like we should be working on getting this locked in, but I do agree with them. They should be actively working to win this next HOH.
Yeah.
There's still plenty of house targets left,
Mhm.
and they can use that opportunity to really lock in an even bigger structure.
Yeah.
So Cam and Cedric do talk briefly as well. They talk about needing to protect Quinn from this Angela thing, and they kind of hope that he will win the next HOH, and then he can go after Angela. And Cam says that he's told Leah that they should stop their flirting thing. But then Cedric is like, but it could be a good thing. You know, you reel her in. And Cam's like, nah, I don't think right now it's a good time. So we'll see. We'll see, Cam.
Like, what was it? And Baby Can like 11, where the showmance was like after being like put the other person up, um, and they made it to the final two together. What was that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, BB Can 11.
Yeah, like Cam being like.
I was thinking Big Brother 11. I was like Jeff and Jordan.
No, but like Cam being like Leah can't trust her, don't want her around. You know what? She can get nominated and go. Leah being the same way with Cam.
Who knows?
I think it's fun. I like that they like each other, but don't like each other like that.
So MJ, Leah, and Chelsea talk up in the HOH room, and this is the conversation we were referring to a little bit earlier. They're talking some strategy.
Yes.
And they're talking about like who are you concerned about? And MJ says, honestly, the only people I'm concerned about are Joseph, Quinn, and Chemo. I think that they're tight. Now, this comes from Kenny, remember. Kenny, one of the few people that was talking strategy to MJ prior to like Chelsea pulling her in after she admitted the power. So she still thinks that this is perhaps a group. Now, Leah does play some defense on this, specifically, I think, for Quinn. Like, hey, you know, I don't think they're actually that tight. I don't think that's really the group. And then Chelsea kind of comes in and says, yeah, I think Quinn, Tkor, and Chemo, that's the group. They're really tight. And MJ's like, no, it's Joseph. Joseph is in the group. I think targeting Joseph next week is so basically what MJ is alluding to in this conversation is like we would put up two pawns, like probably a Kenny and an Angela, but then you would also throw in Joseph as a potential target. And so that's kind of seemingly where MJ's head is at, is that like if I can snipe Joseph out of that group, it neutralizes that threat to some degree. And that's maybe what she would do if she were to win HOH.
Which fine, okay, whatever. Like Joseph is not like connected really in this house to basically anyone. Like Joseph is trying his hardest. He's trying his darndest to talk people, but people do not rock with Joseph like that. So Joseph going is not like a terrible thing, but I think MJ should be like doing more, especially because she was complaining too. She was like, I left out of last week's foes. I don't know who I can truly trust. But like I'm gonna target Joseph of all people. Like like and maybe it was because of the blow up that Matt and Joseph had, well, Matt had towards Joseph, but like Joseph ain't doing really much of anything. Like they just actively said no, there's an active alliance between Tkor, Quinn, and Chemo. Like and be like, you know what, I'm not the closest with Chemo and Tkor and Quinn. maybe I should try to take them out because they might try to take me out. And let me try to reel Joseph in, try to like build something better with that. But that's just me. Mackenzie's in her own world too. They're all in
Yeah.
their own world.
And I'm not sure where where Chelsea is on this, like why she brought up that trio. I don't think I've noticed that she feels any kind of actual suspicion about the loyalty of Quinn.
Well,
Um,
you can say that, but Quinn doesn't check in with Chelsea.
yes, but they did have a bit of a conversation today. So it's like, but I agree. I think that Quinn has definitely dropped the ball. I just haven't heard her
Mhm,
like she was still talking about Cam to Brooklyn
mhm,
today, not Quinn.
yeah.
So I don't know what her motivation was here, beyond just like again maybe even a form of running defense.
Mhm,
But she did not push back on targeting Joseph. I think that she was probably fine with
mhm,
that idea. And then she also, like, for what it's worth, as much as she is talking with MJ and Leah, she did heavily consider actively targeting and put or not targeting necessarily, but putting MJ up on the block earlier that day.
which is insane. Like, not at Mascon, I feel like Chelsea's one of their closer people. Like, why
Very much.
like, what are you doing, Chelsea? I have high hopes for you, Chelsea. I still have faith in you. People are clocking you that you're a threat, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Now, MJ, Leah, and Rubina talked later in the Have Not room,
Mhm,
well, when Lisa left the room, and they discussed again the women working together. And this was basically the grouping that Rubina had previously just told Tkor, like, "Hey, I'm picking you over them." But
mhm,
she is in there with them. She's talking with them. She warns them about Kenny being suspicious of the Girls Alliance.
mhm,
And they start talking about like what guys should we bring in because the core is the three of them,
mhm,
MJ, Leah, Rubina, with Brooklyn and Chelsea. That's like the group of 5 women that
mhm,
Tkor has been excluded from, in terms of like a women's alliance. That again, that Rubina says, "I'm picking you over that group."
mhm,
Uh, and so that's the core, but they're talking also about potentially bringing in some guys to use as extra numbers.
mhm,
And one of the prime candidates, and this is again sort of probably an example of like MJ looking to snipe out Joseph, but not necessarily touch Chemo or Quinn, is that they mentioned Quinn as one of their primary options as a person to bring in. And I assume that a lot of this comes from Leah.
mhm,
And then Rubina would back it up too because she's in good with Quinn on the other side as well.
mhm,
But they talk about Quinn as a good option. They say he's stable. Like he's like, you can rely on Quinn. And they also need to talk to Kenny because they need to kind of neutralize this women's thing
mhm.
that he's talking about. And there's maybe a chance that they could use Kenny as a number. So this is what they're talking about. But take this alliance with a grain of salt. This is basically like the
Mhm.
barbershop 2.0, where MJ is probably the only person who's fully invested in it. And then like literally everyone else is like, it's fine.
Like, no, like, truly, if this was, like, just, like, Leah, MJ, or Rubina, or, like, MJ, Leah, Brooklyn, and Chelsea, then I'll, like, buy it more. But, like, the fact that they're trying to include all the women, minus Tkor, but, they still rock with Tkor, no plans of touching Tkor. But,
No,
like
they don't plan to target Tkor for whatever reason. They've just not.
but, like, I like, truly, and it's been said a million times, I think Mary said it on the podcast, like, a group of 3 or 4 women, like, coming together, like, that's when it's gonna work, at one point in time. 3 people that, like, truly click with each other. And just being like, "We are the women," is not a recipe for success because all the women don't rock with each other like that. Like, that's why you truly gotta find people that you actually, like, work with well with and bond with to actually work with, and then make it run.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at here. It does still right now look like
Mhm,
Lisa is the target,
mhm,
but that could certainly change with a few different things up in the air at the moment, including of course the AI arena, which is a spot where like if Lisa wins that, then it's just Angela. If Angela wins, it's just Lisa. There's been no talk of turning this
mhm,
around on Tucker as of yet. Once now that he's on the block, so it would be difficult to find a scenario where he like with Lisa and Angela competing so hard to be evicted. it's like there's barely any room for Tucker to be even a mention. But again, really the story right now is more so which grouping of people is going to rise to the top, and who's going to be actively trying to win the next HOH, because that's going to be a big one. Now, one thing I did think of very briefly is that if because like the fact that Quinn has the power started to like Angela's spreading it is starting to get out there that this is an accusation. Sure, nobody believes it right now, but surely somebody's gonna think twice about it, right?
Yes.
But here's the thing: if it does come out, like let's assume that like this morning, it just blows up. Wait a minute. Of course, Quinn has the power. There's actually some interesting ways that this, and interesting might be a generous term, but like Quinn could just be like, "You caught me. I have it."
Yeah.
And yes, it allows me to take over an HOH. So here's what I'm gonna do. You all got me. You all know I have it now. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. Next week is my HOH. That's just guess what, guys? I'm your next HOH. Who wants to see my HOH room next week? And like, okay, like what can you do about it, right?
Yeah.
In fact, listen, it's up to you if you want to try and win. It's just I'm gonna be in control of nominations regardless. So you can throw it to me if you want, or you can win it yourself. Like whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna use it next week. It'll be out of the way, and then we'll never have to deal with it again. And then it's like he gets like a week and a half of HOH. It takes over Chelsea's HOH at this point. She has no power left, right? Like there's a lot of like weird things that can happen with this specific power and the way that it works. And so like then if people don't throw the HOH to him, it's like, well, I did say I was going to use this, and then he's still competing in the following HOH after the HOH that he takes over as well. I assume. So like there's a lot of power plays that you can make with this.
No, like truly, because I do think like this could go either good or bad for Quinn, based on how he's playing it. And Quinn is winning a lot right now. I'm worried for the boy Quinn. But I think like truly at this point in time, burning it early and being like open and honest with what you're thinking is like the best play he can have right now. So that way he can earn trust with people in the house. Be like this, like they said earlier, like they want Quinn because Quinn is stable. By Quinn doing this, he's showing he's a stable, steady force in this game versus like actively denying and then just like waiting to like use the power to like try to take out a big player or something like that. That's insane. That's wild. That's being like, oh, you both lied to us and you're doing your own thing. That's like stabilizing the house. That's a choice.
And that's the thing, right? Where it's like the downside of being exposed is that people now recognize like, oh, you lied to us. They might be a little upset with him, but if they know that he's the next HOH, can't really be that upset with him. Not right now. And that gives him a week and a half to get back into everyone's good graces while being in power, which is like a great way to like, there's still a lot of ways to use this power, I think, in again, maybe not interesting ways, because I think that would probably slow the strategy down pretty dramatically, to just be like, well, we already know who the next HOH is. Let's start campaigning for that. Like it would be like campaigning for noms like on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. We've never had that before.
It's interesting. And like you said earlier, it's a week and a half at worst. Because he could then like win the next HOH and then still be in a solid position, and then say Tkor wins the next one after that. Like Tucker could be like cruising through easily at this point in time, and being like open and honest with the rest of the house, if he does it right. But like I feel like Quinn, and I know people are high on him. He's a messy person. He's a messy player. I think he will do something interesting with it. That would be like, have you on the Lifey update, be like, so Quinn did this thing. It was a choice. It was a choice.
Yeah. All right, AJ, anything else that you want to bring up?
I would like to say for the future super fans, I think we've seen it with Joseph. We've seen it a little bit last season with Corey, but like not too bad because Corey was a better position in the house. Don't come into the game with a plan and be so sturdy with that plan and not letting things to change or sway. Like, be flexible, be open to play the game that's in front of you. Because Joseph was so secure on the Matt thing, and Matt was not a good thing. He should have pivoted, but he didn't. Joseph's still talking today about the collective. The collective ain't a thing, my guy. Like, come on, we gotta move past it.
Well,
Like,
so here's what I will give credit to Joseph for. I think he knows that like the collective is broken, but
mhm,
like I think that by continuing, I think in his mind at least, by continuing to bring up the collective, it makes everyone who was in the collective, which was a large group of people, feel like they're good with him,
mhm,
and that they wouldn't want to ruin that relationship. Now that does leave him vulnerable to players like MJ, who is not in the collective,
mhm,
but it does theoretically keep him safe from the majority of the house. That said, what we're also seeing is that because he's talking about the collective so much, we're hearing from a bunch of people saying like, "Well, we don't need to pull in Joseph any closer because he's already so hung up on the collective. Like
mhm,
he's already loyal to us because of the collective. We don't need to bring him into any core of
mhm.
anything." And so I think that's where things are falling apart for me. He's struggling to make these like deeper individual connections and get anything else happening in the game for him.
No, no, truly, because I think he started off the game in such a good spot, but now he's like at a point where it's like, sure, people on the outside like MJ are targeting him, but he don't have defenders. Like Quinn had a defender in the conversation. Like
Yeah.
people aren't being like, yeah, we got to defend and protect Joseph. It's like if Joseph goes, that sucks. So I could have used Joseph later on, but I wasn't using him now. So
Yep. Yep. I think that's exactly right. All right. I believe that then is what we have for you
that's all
today.
I have.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 26 live feeds. I also have a plushie right here.
Hey,
It's a little kitten. It's my
hi.
kitten, but in robot form. There's 1 day left. Tomorrow is the final day to order your Kellis plushie. If you don't order one by then, you will never have one. This is a one-time limited offer. If you want one, make sure you get your order in by tomorrow. The link is pinned on my Twitter. Also, I will be tweeting out the survey for tonight's roundtable after this update, where you can rate the players yourself, and then we'll
Mhm,
be talking through. We'll see what happens with the prices and the stock watch and all of that tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern.
mhm,
And then tomorrow, episode recap stuff going on. Find me on Twitch. I'll be watching the episode, talking about stuff, and then we'll be here to recap the episode. So plenty of stuff going on there. We've got getaway coverage. We just recorded a spoiler edition of the Tastemakers podcast. We talked about The Boys. We talked about The Acolyte. We talked about Presumed Innocent. It was a good time. I had lots of rants. So check out that podcast. And that's about what I've got for you guys. AJ, what do you got going on?
Actively not as much as you do. Um, but you can find me on X or Twitter at the Norris, and that's where I will promote anything I am doing.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.